It is a question that seems very simple. If a country has debts to pay or people in poverty, why does the government not just print more money? The government controls how money is made. In our digital world, it can create billions of dollars with a computer. It seems like an easy way to solve big problems. This idea has been very attractive to rulers and politicians for a long time. It looks like a magic trick that creates value from nothing. But things that look too good to be true usually are. The reality is much more complex. The simple act of printing money has caused some of the worst economic problems in history. It has destroyed the life savings of normal people. It has created chaos in society. What seems like an easy solution can lead to a terrible disaster. To understand why we cannot print our way to wealth, we must first understand money itself. We will take a journey through history to learn from past mistakes. This journey will take us to ancient Rome and revolutionary France. We will see the famous story of Germany after World War I. We will also look at modern problems in countries like Venezuela. We will see the same sad patterns again and again when leaders choose the easy path of printing money. This exploration will help us understand what makes a country truly wealthy. It is not the amount of paper money it has. Real wealth comes from making useful things, creating new ideas, and improving life for everyone. There are no magic tricks or easy shortcuts to make a country rich and strong. This book will show you the real story. 2. What is money? To understand our main question, we first need to know what money really is. Money has 3 important jobs that help our society work. First, money is for buying and selling. Think about life without money. A baker who wants new shoes would need to find a shoemaker who wants bread. This is difficult. With money, it is easy. The baker sells bread to anyone for money. Then he uses that money to buy shoes from the shoemaker. Money makes trade simple. Second, money measures the value of things. It works like a ruler for prices. We can say a shirt costs $20 and a computer costs $500. This helps us compare different items easily. Without this common measure, it would be very hard to know the fair price for anything. Third, money is a way to save. You can keep the money you earn today and use it later. You can save for a holiday, a house, or for when you are old. This is called a store of value. However, a very important idea is that money itself is not wealth. Real wealth is the actual goods and services we use, like food, houses, and cars. Money is just a claim on this wealth. Imagine you have $1 million on a desert island. You are not rich because there is nothing to buy. The money is just useless paper. This brings us to a simple story. Imagine a town with $1,000 in total. The town also bakes 1,000 loaves of bread each month. So, each loaf costs $1. Now, the government prints 1,000 more dollars and gives it to the people. The town now has $2,000, but it still only bakes 1,000 loaves of bread. The amount of real food has not changed. What happens next? The price of bread will rise to $2. There is more money, but the same number of things to buy. So each dollar is worth less. This is inflation. The extra printed money did not make people richer. It only made prices higher. 3. Old money problems. The problem of governments making too much money is not new. It has happened many times in history. Looking at the past helps us understand why creating more money can be dangerous. Let's go back to the Roman Empire. Roman money was silver coins. The coins were valuable because they were made of real silver. But Roman emperors often needed more money to pay for wars and big projects. They found a simple trick. They started to put less silver in each coin and mixed it with cheaper metals. This was called debasement. The coin looked the same, but its real value was lower. Soon, people understood that the coins were not pure silver. Sellers wanted more coins for their food and goods. Prices went up. People lost trust in the money, and this hurt the Roman economy. Now, let's travel to China during the Song Dynasty, over 900 years ago. China was the first country to use paper money. It was a great idea because carrying heavy coins was hard. At first, the paper money worked well. You could always exchange your paper note for real coins at the bank. But then the government had to pay for wars. It started printing more paper money than it had in coins. Soon, there was too much paper money for the number of goods available. The paper money lost its value. People stopped using it because it was worthless. China went back to using silver for hundreds of years. This also happened in other places. During the French Revolution, the government printed paper money called assignats. They printed so much that by 1795, a note was worth only 1% of its original value. This caused chaos and hunger. In early America, the government printed money called continental dollars to pay for the War of Independence. This money also became worthless. People started to say something was not worth a continental if it had no value. These stories from history show a clear pattern. When a government tries to solve its money problems by changing the coins or printing too much paper, it usually leads to bigger problems. Prices rise, and people lose their savings and their trust in the government. 4. A German story. The most famous story of money problems happened in Germany after World War I. The war ended in 1918, and Germany lost. The country had to pay a lot of money to other countries because of a special agreement, the Treaty of Versailles. This was very difficult for the German government. In 1923, the situation became worse. The government told workers in important industrial areas to stop working, but it still needed to pay them. The government did not have the money, so it made a bad decision. It started to print huge amounts of money. This was the start of a terrible time called hyperinflation. The German mark, the mark, quickly became worthless. At the start of 1922, $1 was worth about 160 marks. By the end of 1923, $1 was worth 4 trillion marks. Prices for everything went up every hour. Life became very strange. Workers were paid 2 times a day. After they got their money, their families ran to the shops. They had to buy food and things immediately. If they waited a few hours, their money would be worth much less. People started to use wheelbarrows to carry their money because they needed so many banknotes. A newspaper that cost less than 1 mark in 1921 cost 70 million marks 2 years later. Children played with piles of banknotes because they were cheaper than real toys. This hyperinflation was a disaster for German society. The middle class was hit the hardest. People who saved money for their whole lives found that their savings were now worth nothing. Old people with fixed incomes could not buy food. Their money simply disappeared. But people who had big debts were lucky. Their debts also became worthless, so they could pay them easily. This created a lot of anger. People who worked hard and saved money were now poor. They felt the government had failed them. This social anger and lack of trust in the government helped create more problems in Germany for many years to come. The hyperinflation finally stopped when the government created a new currency and, most importantly, stopped printing money to pay its bills. 5. Modern money problems. The problem of printing too much money is not just a story from the past. Big money problems, called hyperinflation, have happened in modern times too. These events show that the danger is still very real today. After the Second World War, Hungary had the worst inflation in history. The country was broken after the war, and the government needed money to rebuild. It chose to print more and more money. The problem got very bad very fast. At its worst, prices for everything became 2 times more expensive every 15 hours. Imagine a loaf of bread cost 1 pengo, the Hungarian money, in the morning. By the afternoon, it would cost 2 pengo. The government printed a banknote for 100 quintillion pengo. But this huge number meant nothing. The money was worthless, and people's savings were gone. The economic system stopped working. People had to trade things directly, like food for clothes, because money was useless. A more recent story is from Zimbabwe in Africa. Around the year 2008, the government printed huge amounts of money to pay its bills. Prices went up incredibly fast. The government made a $100 trillion banknote. This sounds like a lot of money, but it could not even buy a small piece of bread. People's life savings became worthless paper. When people got paid, they ran to the stores to buy anything they could. They knew their money would be worth less in just a few hours. Life was a constant struggle. Pensions that people saved for their whole lives could not buy milk. This shows how hyperinflation doesn't just destroy money, it destroys society. Finally, in 2009, the country stopped using its own money and started using foreign money, like the US dollar. The economy then became more stable. The same thing happened in Venezuela, in South America, starting around 2016. The government needed money, so it printed more of it. Again, prices rose very quickly. A cup of coffee that cost a little money in the morning cost a huge amount by the end of the day. The government tried to fix the problem by changing the money and removing zeros from the banknotes, but it did not work. Life became very difficult for normal people. Many families could not find or afford basic things like medicine or food. Their salaries could not buy enough to live. Many people left the country to find a better life. This modern crisis shows that the old rules are still true. A government cannot print its way to being rich. These modern stories teach the same lesson. Printing too much money destroys an economy and hurts people's lives. 6. Why governments do it. We know that printing too much money is dangerous. So why do governments do it? The answer is often about politics and difficult choices. A government that needs more money has a few options. It can ask people to pay more taxes. But people do not like paying more tax. Another option is to spend less money on things like schools, roads, or paying government workers. But people need these services, and cutting them can make people angry. These choices are hard and can make a government unpopular. Compared to these choices, printing money can look easy. It feels like a simple solution to a big problem. The government gets the money it needs right away. The bad effects, like rising prices, usually happen later. For politicians who need to solve a problem now, this can seem like a good plan. Big problems like wars create a lot of pressure. A government needs to pay for soldiers and weapons very quickly. It is hard to get all this money from taxes alone. In these situations, governments often decide to print the money they need. This has happened many times in history. Printing money is also like a hidden tax. This is called inflation. When there is more money, the money you have becomes less valuable. Your savings can buy fewer things than before. This hurts people who have saved a lot of money. It also hurts people with a fixed income, like older people who get the same pension payment every month. Their money buys less and less. But this helps people who owe money. The biggest group that owes money is often the government itself. Inflation makes its debt smaller in real value. This is why printing money is a choice governments sometimes make, even when they know the risks. 7. What about today? The old stories about Germany and Zimbabwe are scary. But do governments still print money today? The answer is yes, but they do it in a new, more complex way. Many big countries, like the United States and those in Europe, have used a modern kind of money creation. It is called quantitative easing, or QE. With QE, a country's central bank creates new electronic money. It does not print paper notes. The bank then uses this new electronic money to buy things, like government bonds, from other large financial banks. This process is different from the historical examples. The money does not go directly to the government to pay for wars or other spending. Instead, it goes into the banking system. The main goal is to make it cheaper for businesses and people to borrow money, which should help the economy grow. For many years after the 2008 financial crisis, this policy did not cause high inflation for everyday goods. However, QE did have other important effects. The prices of assets went up a lot. Assets are things like houses, buildings, and stocks in companies. People who already owned these assets became much richer. This increased wealth inequality, making the difference between rich and poor people bigger. Then, during the COVID-19 pandemic, governments and central banks created a very large amount of money to support the economy. This response was much closer to direct money printing. Soon after, in 2021 and 2022, prices for food, gas, and other goods started to rise quickly around the world. It was not hyperinflation, but it was the highest inflation seen in many decades. This showed that the old lessons are still important. Creating too much money, even in modern ways, has risks and can make life more expensive for everyone. 8. The real way to get rich. We have seen many stories about what happens when governments print too much money. These stories from history always end badly. The most important lesson is clear. Printing more money does not make a country rich. It only creates bigger problems and can make many people poor. So, if printing money is not the answer, what is the real way for a country to build wealth and a better life for its people? True wealth is not about having stacks of paper money. It is about a country's ability to make more useful things and offer better services. This is called productivity. When a country becomes more productive, it gets richer for real. For example, new technology like computers or robots helps people work faster and make more goods. Better education is also very important. When workers have good skills, they can do their jobs better and create more value. Good roads and internet also help businesses move goods and information easily. When people can produce more in less time, the whole country becomes richer. To become more productive, a country needs investment. This means people and companies must save some of their money. Then they can use that money to build new factories, buy better machines, or research new ideas. This creates more jobs and future growth. But people only save and invest if they feel their money is safe. That is why a country needs good, fair laws that protect people's property. It also needs stable money that does not lose its value quickly because of inflation. When money is stable and laws are predictable, people and businesses can plan for the future with confidence. In the end, there are no magic tricks or easy shortcuts to becoming a rich country. The stories from history show us this again and again. A country cannot just turn on the printing press to solve its problems. Real prosperity comes from the hard road: saving money, investing wisely, creating new ideas, and improving skills. It requires building a strong and fair society where everyone can work and succeed. This is the only way to create real, lasting wealth for all citizens. What is one thing you think your country could do to become more productive?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.